Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is a new series on Chess with Patrick. And to give some context, over the last 200 and something or other days, I've been approached a few times by folks offering kind words of encouragement, tips, tricks, advice on my games, suggestions on which openings I should play, tactical moves I should have played instead of the moves I should have instead of the moves I did play, and general offerings of wanting to coach and offer their wisdom if they were a higher rated player than I was. Up until now, I've been not accepting those offers, mainly because time is a resource and I feel like when I do have time to schedule something, it has been with subscribers to play a game, and scheduling things is really tough for me. It's easy for me to jump in and play a game and record it and put it online, but scheduling something is where it gets a little challenging. Up until now, because this gentleman here, who is kicking off the first of my coaching from subscribers series, Katsu, has been very helpful in more than just offering tips and advice. He's the moderator on my Discord channel, so shout out to the Discord. He's been super instrumental in creating the rules and the admin and permissions and all that, something that I'm not super familiar with. And when he reached out offering for a coaching session and saying he's starting to coach himself, I said, hey, I'm happy to. And this is somebody who is available for hire if you want some chess lessons from somebody who has, you should look at his stats. He's gone from, my level and below all the way to 1900 in less than a year. And so he's obviously an intelligent individual, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot. So here it is, the first of my coaching series with Katsu.
See, my coaching method is mainly focused around like motivation and support in that regard. I feel like if you have that support, like you will go much higher than. It's like I could just teach you what you need to know, but if you don't really have that support and motivation with you, like then you don't really get too far, is what I've noticed.
Yeah.
Like if I share my journey with you and you share your journey with me, and we connect in that regard, I feel like I'm much more successful with my students if I were to just like, get it done and over with.
Yeah.
All right, so this was the day 206 that you played.
Okay.
And you started with e4, so you can see the pieces moving, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And they went d6, which is, I think this is the Pierce defense.
Yep.
And you played a pretty solid setup. It's not, this isn't a bad setup whatsoever.
Okay.
So...
But when they bring the e5 pawn out, though, is that when does it move into the Philidor? Because I think I'm still trying to like wrap my head around the openings for
I think it's around e5.
Okay.
Yeah, so I see this quite a bit actually, still at my level.
Okay.
I usually just, instead of knight f3, I usually play bishop c4.
Yeah.
Knight f3 is still a very good move. Bishop c4 is just a preference on my part.
Okay.
And they pin your knight, pretty straightforward. You played bishop e2 here, which honestly I don't really like, but not for the reasons you may think. Like, you're kind of just over defending this knight. And yeah, you might be worried about like knight c6 and like knight d4, putting pressure on this.
Yep.
But if that happens, then you can play bishop e2. You're not in a big rush to defend that knight. In this position, I would probably just play h3, ask the bishop what it's doing, and if they go back, then probably just develop to c4, and if they play knight here, then g4 is a good option. So, like, this is totally fine to play. Like, you're weakening your king side, but you still have that option of castling queen side.
Yeah.
And you have all the space on the king side, so if they do castle king side, you already have your attack.
Yeah, the pawns are already pushed up there, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so...
So there is no need to, like, really worry about the knight pin because there's not a way for them to easily, like, put pressure on that knight. Unless they do this.
What I'm saying here is you have so much time to prepare for knight here and knight here.
Yep.
You have so much time for that, you don't need to worry about it just yet.
Okay, cool.
But bishop e2, and they play knight here, which I'm not a big fan of this move. Let me see what Stockfish says. All moves are basically the same evaluation, but still, as my preference, knight d7 is not really a move I would play. I feel like the knight's supposed to be on the square, knight c6. Knight d7 just feels a little bit off. Maybe he's trying to go to c5, but play d3. It's a good move. A move I probably would have played, though, is you can see how there isn't really any pieces in the center, right? Like, there isn't a knight on c6, there isn't a knight on f6. So, it's okay for you to open up the center with something like d4. And if takes, knight takes. And see, the difference here is, if bishop e2 wasn't played, right?
Yeah.
And you played d4, it's still his best recommendation by the engine, but still, we're humans. We have our, pet peeves, I guess. So if we play d4 here,
then take with the queen.
We have to take with the queen, but then our structure on the king side gets ruined. And
the engine still likes this, right?
Yeah, the engine thinks plus 0.7, but it just doesn't look all that great because look, knight comes out, and you get a tempo on the queen. You probably have to move it back to say, it's probably just d1 because like you want to keep these bishops. You have the active bishops, you have the bishop pair, but still, it's not that comfortable, let's say.
Right.
But here, if that's played, you can actually take with the knight because, there's no threat in the queen. So just takes, queen takes, and you can castle kingside and play f4, start some attack on the king side. And I just want to, just say knight here. When you castle kingside, you always want to look out for f4 ideas. So, same side castling attacks. So, assuming that this king will castle kingside with you, f4 is usually always a great resource to use to start attacking on the king side.
Really?
One, you have this nice file with the rook.
Yeah.
You have these bishops, and in this particular position, you have these knights that can easily get onto the king side. Whether it be like something like this. So f4 is mostly always a great move.
Cool.
But in the actual game, you played d3, which is still a good move.
Yeah.
You still have the slight advantage. And they played this move that I don't really like, f6. Like, there's really no need for this move. Like, you're weakening this diagonal.
Yep.
And you're not actually developing a piece. Like, you could say they only have, like, 2 pieces developed, and you have, like, 3. and they're not even close to castling. They would have to castle queenside, but no. It's still very uncomfortable. But main thing to look out for here is Benjamin Feingold, a great grandmaster. He says never play f3 or f6. Now, that's just a basic opening principle. You never really want to play these moves that weaken your king.
Right.
So,
but wouldn't
later,
question on that front, because if I castle, excuse me, if I castle and then play f4 eventually, wouldn't that weaken my king as well? Like, isn't that the same kind of concept as never play f6 or?
Yeah, I see what you mean. So, like, yeah, f3 and f4 can be kind of the same moves. The difference is, when Benjamin Feingold says don't play f3 or f6, he usually means before you castle.
Got it. Okay.
So when you're castled, you are much safer than you are in the center. So f4 would be okay here.
Okay.
And that this knight isn't here. But instead you played h3, which is a good move, you know, just kicking that bishop out. And this bishop back move, it's not a terrible move, but the reason why it's unfavorable is because they just moved their bishop twice in the opening.
Yep.
See, they all the way back here, they moved their bishop to here. They have to move it back. So that bishop was just kind of sitting there with no threats, doing nothing, basically. And it's a good thing that you kicked it out. And now you develop your bishops. Like, I love your position right now. You've already got a plus 0.5 advantage. And then then this knight h6 move comes out. And you did end up taking this, but not immediately.
Yeah.
Now, if you see a knight on the edge like this, always hear that you shouldn't give up a bishop for a knight voluntarily. But in this position, it would be okay because you're ruining their structure.
Yeah.
These pawns are very... and you could start attacking on the king side. So, like, just castling f4. Like, you have these attacking ideas. And black will most likely castle king side, or queen side, sorry. And then you can start firing away.
Yeah. I think I was hesitant in the game to take the knight because after g takes h6 and then rook g8, if I were to castle, they would have that open file looking right at my king and then the bishop staring at the h3 pawn. So I think I kind of dismissed it originally because of that. And so in this situation, would you start calculating the lines of like, what if I did take and how would my king be safe? Because I just got freaked out because I saw those potentials and I'm like, I'm not even going there.
So, yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. Rook g8 does kind of look scary, but I think Eric Rosen, so he's a very great chess content creator, and I love him. He basically says quite a bit, calculate past the fear. So, yeah, you're fearful of doing this because of Rook g8.
Yep.
Right? But if you calculate past the fear, you'd see that you are doing okay here because it's very hard for black's pieces to get into the king side. Because, like, even if you move this pawn, this queen can't enter to g5. So it would get taken by the knight. This bishop really isn't doing much. I mean, it's not gonna... like, this is the threat right here, right?
Right. Why wouldn't they just be able to take that?
Well, it's white's move right now.
Oh,
you can just move to h2.
Oh.
Then you're fine.
I guess so, yeah.
So other than that threat, there really isn't much here. Now, black would probably go over here and try to create some threats, but again, they're probably too slow. Like, probably rook g1 here is good, or b4 again.
Okay.
Like, black is not really in time for this. Because any time that queen g7 is played, rook g1 just ends that threat, and they can't add any more pieces to the attack.
Cool.
So, a move like d4, what the engine recommends, is a very good move. Take, knight takes, you're attacking the bishop, and it's an active bishop, and you're doing very well here. Like,
cool.
Like, I would love this position for white.
Yeah.
It would castle queenside. You would just take the bishop, get the bishop, take away their bishop pair. And, like, look at this dark squared bishop. This dark squared bishop sucks. This knight isn't doing much. This bishop is active, but it's not really doing much at all. This rook is probably the most active piece, but, like, again, there's not much threat there.
Right.
So...
Cool.
So if you just calculate past the fear, you would see that all this is okay. Like, you can stop this. And I know it's hard, it may be hard to calculate that far, but...
Especially when I deal with the time constraint issues, they're still tough for me, yeah.
So that's another thing. So the time is an issue I have seen you in way too many times. So I play 10-0, play 10 plus 5, but I recommend you play like longer time controls like that. I play the opening as fast as I can.
Yeah.
So in the opening stage of the game, I try to use less than a minute. And that may seem hard, but if you know your theory, it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
You just blitz out those moves, and you'll have time for the rest of the game to think.
Yeah.
And another thing, try to only think longer times in critical moments. So there's a saying, think double when in trouble. So on normal moves, you may think only 20 to 30 seconds at a time at max. But on a move where you're in danger or under pressure, you might think a minute 30 or a minute. Like, that's probably the max what you want to do.
Okay.
So, like, in this position, probably think for 30 seconds. Think, draw some arrows. Well, if I take, that opens up this rook. And if I castle, rook g8, then, well, black's pieces can't really get into the attack all that well. And I could always defend h2 or king h2. Like, that should really only take 45 seconds at your level, probably max. And usually you should not be afraid of damaging their pawn structure like this just because of an open file.
Cool.
So instead of what you played in the game is e4, which is this is still a good move. It's still the second top engine move. It says it's an inaccuracy. It's the second top engine move, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, like we've been.
They just really
liked.
They just really liked me taking the knight.
Yeah, and you eventually do that.
Yeah.
So it's a question of move order, but this is still good.
Right.
So knight takes, and you're attacking this bishop, and it would be good to get that bishop off the board because now you have the bishop pair, and they don't. They move here, and play knight d5, which this is a move I don't like. Because I don't really see the idea of this move. Yeah. So you're getting into the opponent's territory, but you don't really calculate to see what happens after they just kick you out, and then you have to go straight back.
I think that was my idea. I think the idea...
Just to provoke them to play.
Yeah, I think my idea was if I had a feeling they would try and castle queenside. And so just an attempt to, similar to never move f6, probably same thing of like never, like c6. If they were to castle over there, they'd have less protection because there'd be additional diagonals. I don't know. I think
Here, it's not really that bad as f6 because, one, you're kind of just helping the queen get out into the open, giving it more lines. You're helping them maybe play d5 in the future.
Yep.
You're helping them support that.
Mm-hmm.
And this on the queen side isn't that much of a weakness if they castle, because you still have those 4 pawns protecting you in all these pieces, so it wouldn't really be all that bad.
Got it.
For me, I think you just wasted a move there. It gave them a move, so you kind of just lost a tempo.
Yep.
It played 95, and then you finally take. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say, you kind of just gave them an outpost on the square.
Yep.
So you finally took, which is still a good move, and played this weird bishop h5 move, which is the only idea. Like, you were just trying to trade off the bishops. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so, because I think I did notice the outpost on the knight, and I that move, if they did exchange and I retook with the queen, would force the knight to move back off the outpost unless they wanted to move their king off the starting square. And same thing, if they didn't take, I could capture, and then the same thing would happen. So I think I was worried about that outpost, and so I wanted to find a way to move the knight.
Engine Engine kind of agrees with you if bishop takes h5, and if knight back, f4 looks pretty good. Preparing f5, trying to exploit this pin. But after something like, say, I think just, what your opponent played, knight g6, was pretty decent. Like, you get rid of the outpost, but you keep the bishop pair, and black's just gonna castle queenside.
Yeah.
And you play queen d2. You're trying to castle queenside. That's what you're trying to do.
Yep.
I assume.
Yep. Castling queenside, and then preparing to basically keep that bishop, the dark squared bishop, where it is, or else I gain a pawn.
Queen d2 is an inaccuracy because there are better moves to do so. Like, you are trying to attack this king, and queen d2 isn't that active of a square. It's not attacking anything. This is defended. Queen f3 or queen g4 would have been better, because if queen f3, you put more pressure on these, because, one, you're putting pressure on this because it doesn't allow black to play queen d7. So they would have to play queen e7. And if they play queen e7, you can play
Knight
something
f5.
like knight f5.
Yeah.
Yep, knight f5. So, just for example, you can play something like this, and now it's very uncomfortable for black. They would have to play like 85 or something. And in the end, they do castle, but so do you. You have this like immense pressure. And I would not want to play black in this position, because just this active knight This queen can go wherever it wants. You're going to have active
Yeah.
rooks in the future too, with these open files.
Got it.
And queen g4 is also a good move because, one, you're also... So, if black moves like queen e7 or so, queen d7, you just take, for one. Not allowing them to castle. And if they move queen e7, they can't castle anyways because they're castling through check.
Yep.
So, preventing their ideas, basically, before they happen. Prophylaxis. So, either one of those moves basically gives you a more active queen, except for knight d2, or queen d2. Like, you can't really move too many squares, you can't move f4, it's blocked, you can't move to g5, it's blocked. You could move to queen e3, but again, your queen's not really doing too much over there. It's still better for you, but there were better moves. And rook g8 by your opponent, I really don't see the idea just over defending this. I don't really see a need for that. But you do castle. Engine considers this an inaccuracy. I don't. I mean, castling as soon as you can, especially in this position, I like that. Although, except for castling, there was an idea. Knight f5 again. So knight f5, you're attacking this pawn.
Mm-hmm.
See, now you got two attackers.
Yep.
You only have one defender. But you're also attacking this pawn in the future, which is what does happen. You castle, and they play queen there, and then you finally do play knight f5, which is still a very good move. And it's round +1 for you, actually. So you're attacking this again, and you're putting a lot of pressure on this. Now, they move their knight, and you take. Goodbye you. Get rid of their bishop pair. And I saw a lot of people in the Discord server saying that queen takes here was better.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know.
Yes. I don't actually think so. Like, queen takes here, you get this fork.
Yeah.
And we have to move here, get out of the discovery, obviously. Maybe here.
Yeah.
Then takes. Like, sorry, knight takes. Yeah, I'm not so sure. You still get a pawn, and you're simplifying. You have these open files.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure. Like, it still looks better. Obviously, you're still winning. But it's hard to say. It's I prefer. So you played g4 first before you took.
Oh, I did.
And they played rook here.
Yeah.
So you didn't take immediately. Obviously, like, it would have been better to take immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer knight takes, and Engine prefers knight takes d6 actually instead of queen takes d6. I feel like queen takes d6 is more of like a show-off move. You're like, hey, look, I've sacrificed my queen. I'm so cool. But in reality, like, I feel like knight takes is just much more simpler.
Okay.
g4, they didn't defend d6. And you took it this time.
Yeah.
Again, knight takes d6 is still better. Yeah, and they took. Obviously, if they don't take, you get the queen, so... And as you can see, you have this very, very active battery on the king.
Yep.
And so they offer a trade of queens, down a pawn. Usually you should take this. You played f4, after takes here. f4 is still a very good move. I'm not sure where the engine ranks it. I think it's in like the top 5. The first 3 are queen moves, but still, I very like the move f4. After takes, knight moves. And this is a very important part of the lesson. So, your rook is under attack, correct?
Yep.
And you move it back. what I want you to think about in your games is there any way I can continue the attack? So what I mean by that is you probably I assume that you looked at Rookie 6 check.
I don't know if I did, to be honest. I'd have to go back to the recording and watch what my thought process was, but I don't even think I considered it.
Yeah, but it's honestly a move that people brush off at first because just King F8 or sorry King D7 and the rook's under attack and you can't go here because I take the rook. But the reason why you want to continue this attack, and it's not, the attack is still thriving here, is because of something like King D7, you have this really nice move F5. You attack the rook, but you're also preparing Rook D1.
Yeah.
And there's not much you can do. So like Rook here, Rook D1 check. This is just terrible for black. I mean, look at this. You could you could either take this pawn, which is really nice. You could play Rook E7 check. They can't go to this rank because you just check again. And if they go here, check. Oh, sorry, not check there. Check here, and you win the rook. Same thing with here. Check, win the rook. In fact, even here, like, this check is also doable. Like, this check's also doable. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's still fine because you get the rook. The knight's pinned. Still, though,
I think the board,
very
my board, excuse me, my board stopped moving.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
What move?
I see Rook E7 as the Rook E7 check.
So you don't see the board moving right now?
No. Should I refresh?
Let me reset. Try refreshing.
All right, now I see Rook on E7 with an arrow drawn up to B8 from the king.
All right. Let me set up the position again.
Okay.
There, do you see a blank board?
No, it's still the same position.
Let me refresh.
Okay.
Might kick you out, but
that's fine.
Not. All right, are you still in?
I'm in. Now I see two arrows being drawn up from the king. One from C7 to C8, and then another from C7 to B8. Okay, board has been restarted.
Okay, cool. That's weird. There we go. All right, do you see all this?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go back to where we were. And so Rook E6.
Yep.
And if King D7, F5.
Whoa, hold on. I'm seeing. Okay. Okay. Yep. Cool.
Okay. So they'll probably go to here. King D1.
Yep.
And as you can see, you have this very nice attack. If they go to one of these squares, they get hit with Rook E8, winning the rook.
Yep.
So King B6, like, you can obviously see how good this looks for white.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you continue, all because of this simple Rook E6.
Yep.
And you basically win the game.
Yep.
So if they play something like king f8, just f5 again, and this is very uncomfortable. Boom, you get this pawn. You could take this, or you could continue with like here.
Yep.
Like, point is, you continue the attack with this move, and if you try to look for ways to continue that attack in your games, like it could even win you a game or two, or like thousands or hundreds. Like just trying to keep the attack going. And instead you played rook d3, which is like a passive move. You're just moving your rook back.
Yep.
And you don't really continue that attack. And here, I'm not entirely sure why the engine gave you a mistake here. Because you're trying to keep this file, right? That was your idea. To keep this file after they take.
Yep.
I think the reason might actually be because after takes, they have this counterplay move, h5, which keeps them in the game. So it's basically sacrificing a pawn,
giving them opportunities to
to hammer away.
Yep. Got it.
And you kind of reinforce their idea. They go rook g7, but then you go rook g3, and basically you're provoking them to do what they wanted to do.
Yep.
Like they should have played h5 here, because this is a pin.
Yeah.
But like going rook 3 here, you're basically saying, hey, play h5. And h5 is not a move you want to see. Like, you want to stop them from doing that. But instead, they go king e7. Then you go knight a4, I assume trying to go here. To c5.
Yep.
And they just allow you to do that. See, h5 is scary, but if you just don't take, it should be fine for the moment. So here is a good move. And you reroute your knight to a better square where it's more in the action.
Yeah.
And here is where I kind of disagree with you. So rook takes g4 is the best move, but only because you're winning. Now, as shown in this game, your endgame skills are a little bit lacking.
Yep.
And because of that, I think you should keep rooks on the board with h takes g4 until you get better at endgames.
Got it.
Because with h takes g4, you still have the advantage because you're up a pawn, but you keep rooks on the board, which means, I want to say it's a little bit easier to convert. See, with rook takes g4, which is the best move, like, you are still winning.
But the end game becomes super important.
Yeah, so here you should have played knight takes.
Yeah.
The reason is
keeping my pawns connected.
I think Yeah, one pawn's connected. And two, after takes, after the knight goes here, you can't defend this pawn.
Yep.
And what was I gonna say? And trying to think of what I was gonna say, but
I think I was trying to.
Knight takes here.
I think I was trying to fork after this because I saw the potential c6, but I mean. Oh yeah, I took with the pawns.
Oh yeah, okay. So if you take here, you're attacking c6.
Yeah.
So c5 would probably be played, and you have a very centralized knight, and you can march your king over and try to promote these pawns.
Yep.
Because you have a passed pawn here, but here you have a passed pawn, but it's won basically in a few moves like this. And now this is a draw.
So you went from the screen's hasn't updated. I still see knight on e5 and pawns on f4 and g4.
So you see c5.
No.
Chess.com is not working with
Yeah, let's file a bug. Let's open a support ticket. I'll send them this video as evidence.
Yeah, I'm not sure, so I guess maybe I refresh again.
Yeah. Chess.com, if you're interested in giving GM Katsu and Chess with Patrick 1 month free of platinum membership, then go right ahead for this experience.
I get infinite diamond membership for free.
Oh, that's right. You're a
So
referral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like a club affiliate.
Yeah.
So, do you see it moving now?
No. Let me try refreshing. Yeah, still the same position.
Great.
Whatever you did last time seemed to work.
I forgot what I did last time.
I think it started with like resetting the board position and then just going through all the moves again. Wait, there's a video feature on Chess.com?
Yeah, there's like a video and voice feature on chess.com. I don't think it works all that well, though.
Oh, cool.
I haven't tried it. Guess I'll refresh. See what happens.
Okay.
It's just eating away our time. That's unfortunate.
That's all right. I think
want
we're...
to go over 2 games.
We might have to postpone the other one. I have a hard stop at 11. But I think this is actually super helpful for me because it just reinforces a few things that I know I've been lacking. The idea of continuing an attack. For me, I think there was like a huge shift, especially in like the engine who was favored to win, and it was when the rook came back, and I think mentally I shifted from attack to defense, and that was a big game changer.
And it's good to understand when to do that, definitely. But I feel like your most important factors in determining like how to win more in your games and provide better content, frankly, is time management, number one. Because one, from a YouTube aspect, a lot of people don't really like waiting all that much, if I'm being honest. They kind of just want to see what happens.
Yeah.
And two is knowing when to start, keep attacking, when to go back, knowing when you're under pressure. And three, activity. Your pieces to the most optimal squares that they can be.
Yeah.
And another one is when you have, let's say, at least 2 minutes of time left.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, if you have above 2 minutes of time left, you need to check to see if your move blunders anything. So there's a checklist that I like to follow, and it's checks, captures, attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So the checklist would be, I'll write it down in Discord so you can, for reference later.
Okay.
So checks, captures, attacks. Now, one, when it's your move, you always want to look for checks. Even if it doesn't seem all that good, you want to at least for at least 5 seconds or so. Because maybe the check looks terrible, but maybe there's a good idea behind it.
Right.
And that's won me a few games too. Captures, you want to look at all your captures, analyze to see if it's a good capture, if you like the capture, see what happens after the capture, and attacks. See if you could start something on your opponent's king, or maybe create some threats, like forking threats, or like pinning threats, or just along those lines.
Yeah.
Things that can allow tactics or get you to your opponent's king. But there's a side to... I'm sure you've probably heard of the checklist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, checks, captures, and attacks is something that I think was brought up very early in my journey. For me, though, it all comes back to like time management. If I did checks, captures, and attacks on every move, then it would take me even longer to make a decision. So for me, it's kind of that balance of when do I invest the time to calculate, when do I think through a potential 4-move sequence and all the variations that could be, while still maintaining checks, captures, and attacks, all within a 30-second time slot to move a piece. So it's for me, that's the most challenging part.
I think, now I really don't like recommending this to students, but I think playing Blitz more often and getting used to it actually helps you in a way.
It's funny how you said that, because I have been playing a little bit more Blitz, and I think just the muscle memory of going through openings has really helped, because I take that into the rapid games and I can really move a lot quicker.
Yeah, playing opening moves fast and Blitz helps you playing fast and rapid.
Yeah.
And it also helps you get used to time pressure. And if you can try to stop blundering in Blitz, I know easier said than done, but the less you blunder in Blitz, the less you'll blunder, especially in time pressure in rapid. And I think blunders, especially at your level, is one of the most deciding factors in who wins the game.
100%. Yep.
And so I want to go back to checks, captures, and attacks.
Okay.
And again, this is really going to hurt your time management. But once you get better at that, you'll get better at this. So you've heard of the checklist. A lot of what people don't do, but what should be doing, is checks, captures, and attacks for your opponent as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because say you have a good capture, right? Or a good attack, quote unquote. But your opponent has like a check or something that stops that attack or stops, whatever your threat is. It could ruin your entire idea.
Yeah.
Just because of a check. But if you look for that stuff for your opponent as well, it can do wonders for you. And there's a feature on chess.com, which I don't think a lot of people use, is you can actually flip the board during the game.
It's so funny.
So
I did that. I did that recently in one of my upcoming games. I flipped it.
So
I was worried about doing that because, I'm not going to be able to do that over the board, and if I eventually want to, try over the board, I shouldn't get in the habit of doing that.
I think people should. I mean, obviously, if you're in an over-the-board game, you might look over your opponent's shoulder to see and calculate for them. But no, that's obviously not reasonable. But I think everybody's a little bit worse on over the board. I mean, that's why you see people like Magnus Carlsen, 3,200 blitz or something, but only 2,800 rapid. Everybody's better online. Obviously, there's different factors to it, but that's one of the big reasons. So going back to the flip the board feature, it's much easier to calculate for yourself than for your opponent because you're kind of looking upside down. If you flip the board, you're basically calculating for your opponent,
Yep.
seeing what they do.
Yep.
And it's much easier to do that than,
Cool.
turning your head upside down trying to...
I know. Or just trying to imagine it in
Yeah,
in my head.
So, flipping the board is a great feature. Like, just try to see what your opponent is gonna do. Prevents blunders, at least a little bit. There was one thing I want to go over. So, the Vienna course, I will start working on that lead chess study for you.
Oh, cool. I still have to check
You
out Lee
studied
Chess. I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, so basically, lead chess has a very cool feature where you can basically your own studies, make your own course, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be you can make it private, you can make it public, so on, and you can easily review it, you can easily study it, and so you said you said you've been doing the Vienna. Have you purchased any courses on it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so this will be a great thing for you. Like, I'll make a lead chess study
Okay.
with all the stuff that you need to know, and like pointers in the study.
Perfect.
And you keep doing that, you'll know what to do almost every game. Because especially at your level, opening is very important. I don't want to say the most important. I would probably give that to middle game, but it's still nonetheless.
Yeah.
Sacha's gonna don't quote me on that, but Sacha's gonna flame me in the Discord. But
Love that.
So yeah, just to review a little bit, work on time management. Maybe look at some videos on how to do that. Piece activity is a big thing. Calculating past the fear is also a big thing.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway.
And putting your pieces on optimal squares kind of fits into activity, but same nonetheless. And also, watching the chess content. Like, watching the chess content that you watch.
Yep.
Like, trying to regulate it and keep entertainment content away from educational content.
Yeah.
You can have your entertainment time, but also have your chess educational time. So I'm going to recommend you a series by Daniel Naroditsky, a very great grandmaster. He has this speedrun series, and he does a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he starts out at like a very low rating, probably like 600 or so, and he works his way up back to like master level.
Oh, cool.
Online. So by doing that, you'll basically see ideas, positional ideas, tactics that you'll find at your level as well. Like, I would recommend probably starting around that 1,000 level, watching his videos there.
Okay. And just go through those.
So, it's a very big playlist. Every video is around 30 minutes or so long, and there's like 60 videos or so.
Oh, wow.
Wait, 71. So there's 71 in total. Obviously, you don't have to watch like all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe just watch one or two while eating dinner or something.
Okay.
Like, you just obtain that knowledge of a grandmaster, you'll play like a grandmaster. And I think this speedrun series alone gave me like 400 ELO points or something.
That's awesome. Dude, I gotta jump. I got another call, but Katsu, thank you so much for your time and helping me out, and obviously for all your help with my journey and the Discord and all that. There's no doubt that you're gonna be awesome in the chess community for some time to come. So just want to say that, and I really appreciate your time today.
You too, Patrick. I know we were in a little bit of a time crunch there, but I tried to, say what I needed to say, work it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch those videos. I linked it to you.
Cool.
And I'll shoot another time. See you, man.
All right, bud.